You fucking...
What is up, YouTube? My name is Mario, aka the real Super Mario. Check out the main channel because the main channel is popping, aka the Loot Box Hero, aka YouTube's greatest fat man here, bringing you another video. Alright, so I am perpetually trapped in the niggas in Japan zone. This is the third video I've done about black people in Japan. The second video I've done about Assassin's Creed Shadows and Yauske. But hey, it is what it is. We're gonna rock with it. You know, hopefully this will be the last time I have to talk about this subject. But knowing this year, it probably won't. So of course we're gonna get into all the current controversies going on with Assassin's Creed. We're gonna follow up some of the stuff that I talked about in the previous video. Of course, you want to continue getting videos like this from me. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, do all that good stuff that YouTube requires you to do to continue getting videos from me. Follow me on twitter.com/rsmario128. Like my video tweet, share my video tweet. Now I'll shout you out of this portion of the video. All right, so a lot has happened to Assassin's Creed Shadows since the last time we talked about this game. So far, there's been people have called the game racist. We found out that Yauske may actually be gay, which, dang man, I really, I really gave him the benefit of the doubt on that one. And apparently the Japanese government is involved, so we're gonna talk about all this. I'm gonna start off with like the easiest one real quick. So this actually came out right after I dropped the video, like the same week I dropped the video. They dropped the gameplay footage, and it showed that Yauske, and there was like a Japanese trap beat in the background that somebody made on Fruit Loops, the free version, and people kind of like had crazy reactions to this, like.
Got to be hip hop, innit? Because he's black.
You will have to spill it first. Listen to the music that they're playing for this.
Okay, that's not Japanese traditional music.
Greed cannot rule this village. Not while I have breath in my lungs and a blade.
Nigga, what?
I want to be very clear about something. The only reason why there is hip-hop music in this game is because the protagonist is black, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a lie. You're a lie.
Like, on one hand, you had people saying that, oh, this is ruining Japanese culture. Why are they mixing Japanese music with trap music? And then on the other hand, you had like Wakandans coming out and saying like, oh, why are they putting, hip-hop music on when the black man comes out? And I'm like, I don't think it's really that deep. Japan has actually had a lot of connections with rap and hip-hop. It's specifically in the media, going all the way back to the early 2000s, long before wokeness and all this other kind of stuff was really a thing. You look at stuff like Mongolian Chop Squad, which had, a rap scene in it. And then, of course, Samurai Champloo.
Don't roll with the plan, only trust instincts and be roll with the plan. Some days, some nights.
This is more than likely what they were trying to channel. They were trying to channel this connection between black people, ancient Japan, and hip-hop, because there is a connection there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's been a lot of shows that have tried to combine Japanese culture and hip-hop together in various different ways. The same way that, anime has a pretty big connection to the black community. Like, DreamCon just happened, and that's basically a black anime convention. So to say that it's weird for them to try to channel some of that in this game that has a black samurai that's based in ancient Japan is kind of crazy. All right, I don't particularly think it was racist. I think they were going for this vibe. You know what I'm saying? They were going for that Samurai Champloo vibe. They just didn't do it very well. All right, I mean, shoot, the last Yauske project had the same thing. They had hip hop music that was combined with ancient Japanese style music. And it actually worked out pretty well. The music from that project is the best thing about that project. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what it is. So far, I don't really see any confirmation that Yauske is gay. Is there a possibility he's gay? Maybe. But so far, no confirmation, just yellow journalism.
Embarrassing.
Boy, so this one's gonna be cool. So one of the big parts of the previous video I did was talking about the rumor that was spread by That Park Place that said that Yauske was going to be gay, or there was going to be gay stuff in this game involving Yauske. And I kind of gave Ubisoft the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, they're probably not going to do that, you know what I'm saying? Assassin's Creed Shadows was always going to be queer.
Oh, nigga, you gay.
Ubisoft has revealed that Assassin's Creed Shadows, the newest installment of the series, slated for November 12th, will once again include same-sex romances and have more developed relationships. In fact, Shadows seems to be going further with this than Ubisoft has ever gone before. One could say in the previous games, romanceable characters were player sexual. Okay, player sexual. Okay. And the relationships you had with them weren't always intentionally queer relationships, crafted for the specific purpose, since the dual protagonists weren't separate people but gender options. In a relationship between two women or two men, is it intentionally queer? What does that mean? Okay. Okay. All right. Since Naue and Yauske have romances unique to their individually designed characters, the queer representation feels more intentional. Okay, so basically it's part of what I said in the original video where I talked about when they said that, you know, they were going to interact with different types of people. That's basically what was happening, but also that interaction kind of goes to the romances too. So there'll be certain people that only Yauske can romance, and there'll be certain people that only Naue can romance, you know, and really it's kind of up to you. You know, you can be like that dude from Conception the anime and try to go around and save Japan by slinging baby gravy everywhere, or you can cross swords like the queers of old in Sodom and Gomorrah, you know what I'm saying? You know, you can play as Naue, you know, breaker of narratives, slammer of clams, you know what I'm saying? You can do what you want, you know, so the characters are technically as gay as you want them to be. Now, to be honest, I think this is actually kind of dumb, because even though, like, there is kind of a history of, like, homosexuality in, like, you know, feudal Japan, and that was a thing, you know what I'm saying, with, like, older samurai, you know, going at it with, like, younger, you know, samurai in training, you know, that's a thing that was happening back then. But to, like, add that into this story, especially with Yauske, it's kind of weird, because there's zero proof that any of that was going on with Yauske. Like, he wasn't out here crossing swords with dudes. You know what I'm saying? Is it possible? We don't even really know. Now, Naue, Naue is a fictional character. You can kind of do whatever you want. Not to mention, I mean, what is an ancient Japanese story without a little bit of, you know, Yuri, you know what I'm saying?
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction.
All right, so Thomas Lockley. So Thomas Lockley is an English educator living in Japan, who is also somewhat of a historian. He wrote a book on Yauske back in the 2010s, African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan. Man, that's a daggone light novel title right there. But, well, it might as well be a light novel because 90% of it is false. Or at least just him bending, you know, real life to be more of a narrative structure and kind of adding in some extra to flesh out the paragraph of story that we have on Yauske. And in doing this, he has created like the background for a lot of the perception that we have on Yauske. So him being a legendary samurai or him being a samurai period came from Lockley's book, you know. So yeah. So it turns out that might have been a lie. And of course, people found this out, you know, and that's a big part of the controversy that's going on with this game right now, that a lot of the perception is based on a lie. But I'll let him tell you.
So welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So before we dive into the book, can we talk about you for a second here? This new book of yours might read to many like a novel, but to my understanding, you're not a novelist?
No, I'm not. I did originally write an academic book of this, which was published in Japanese, and that was, I think, 2017. So the book which you would find in front of you, African Samurai, is a much more readable version, less academic, far more narrative, though it's still based on the exact factual history. It's just simply not full of references and other things like that. If you want the references, they're all at the back of the book in a bibliography section, so you can see them if you want to.
Now, the big part about the Thomas Lockley thing is you can kind of tell that he is telling you that this is kind of fiction, all right, because there's two things to look for. One, narrative, all right? Real life stories don't have a narrative, okay? You have to bend and change a real life story in order to fit a narrative structure, because real life is real life. Things happen, things don't happen. Attitudes change, you know what I'm saying? People's mindset changes, unpredictable things happen. But in a narrative, it has a structure. You know, it's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has the setup, it has the climax, and then it has the payoff. You know, that's how narratives work. So you kind of have to bend a real life story in order to make it fit the narrative structure. And that's what he did in his Yauske book. He bent the little bit of real life information that we had on Yauske to fit into the narrative structure. All right. The other thing that he said in this interview was based on history. Okay. Whenever somebody says based on true events or based on historical events, that is a clear tell that this is not actually real history. It is based on real history, which means that it is exaggerated. There are some things, some filler added in to fill out the story, and that it's not 100% true. All right. You know, Mel Gibson movies are based on actual history. Okay. Like some of the Hollywood Bible movies are based on history. All right. Because the Bible in itself, you know, is more of a dictation on how you should live your life than it is an actual like narrative story. So in order to make these movies work for Hollywood movies, I mean, these stories work for Hollywood movies, they have to kind of add in some connective tissue and some character arcs and stuff like that in order to make it an actual narrative. All right. The same thing is what Thomas Locke did with Yauske. But the thing is, he didn't really tell anybody. He just kind of insinuated that that's what was happening. 继续协商。Alright, so this is where it gets really weird, alright? Like, weirder than crossing swords in ancient Japan weird. So this got strangely political. So it all kind of started with this one post from this Twitter account that, for all intents and purposes, is just Japanese grums. Alright, and they posted this long kind of Twitter thread about, you know, oh, you don't understand the reason why Assassin's Creed is on fire. I don't really care if the main character is black. People other than Japanese are trying to start a flame war. I made this by consulting with Japanese experts. The seasons, the buildings, the manners are all messed up. Did you really listen? It's a premium box with a concept art as a bonus. It's expensive. Suspect AI was trained on this mess of Japanese era photos. I made a concept video, accidentally added Chinese subtitles. A petition has begun to stop the release of the book here and now. So basically what they're talking about is a couple of different things here. They're talking about the collector's edition, which like some of the photos on the collector's edition have like been possibly like, you know, produced with AI. Like the sword in the collector's edition is probably like a one-piece prop that they got off of Temu. Like, so a bunch of like really dumb small mistakes. And I want you to guess. All right, I want to make this a little interactive. I want you to guess what happened next. Is it A, did the quartering make 10 videos about this in 72 hours? B, did CL make some of that incel ASMR about this? C, did this just get lost in the shuffle of internet culture war BS that happens on Twitter? Or D, did a whole taxpayer-funded Japanese politician get involved? If you chose D, you were correct. Sadly. And for being correct, you get a jelly donut. And if you get that reference, you're a real one. Type that in the comments. So yes, Satoshi Hamada, you know what I'm saying, a fringe political candidate in Japanese politics that's actually a representative in the Japanese Diet, got a hold to this culture war nonsense from Twitter. And he said, "We are looking into your feedback. We have consulted a French gaming company about a historical alteration of Japan. The content of this consultation is shared in images below. We have also quoted a post that appears to point out the problem with the game in question. We would like to hear your specific requests and opinions." And he points to the post from Japanese Grums. And then he later goes on to say, "Thank you for your many opinions regarding the new Assassin's Creed. The game series set in Japan and the history of Yauske, a black man who served Oda Nobunaga. In relation to this, the following post from the Brazilian embassy in Japan seems to be a hot topic, so I will also share it with you." So, yes, it went there. All right, real life politicians are wasting time and taxpayer money on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Well, it's good to see that, wasting taxpayer dollars is not something that's exclusive to America. You know what I'm saying? And of course, the Brazilian embassy post that he's talking about is this one that's talking about like a Yauske float that they were gonna make for Carnival or whatever. And so it seems like this politician dude is like a fringe politician, you know what I'm saying, that kind of is a low-key a culture warrior, and he's gonna try to get the government involved in this. Now, Japan is a little bit more nationalist than America is, so I can kind of low-key understand how he would get involved, but it's still insane that some poor Japanese intern is having to pore over freaking, Twitter culture war threads in order to try to find information that this man is going to present to the Japanese Diet. That's insane, you know what I'm saying? And it's so insane, like actual Japanese people are telling him stuff like, if a member of parliament is going to talk about this, he should do better research next time. People are saying that, I don't think the government should be saying anything about counseling the release. They're also saying stuff like, like Yauske isn't the problem. Isn't it discriminatory against Asians to have a black character as the main protagonist in a work set in Japan? Which is basically what I said in the last part of the last video. And it's kind of crazy that this is spiraling out of control. And of course, what Ubisoft did to try to nip this in the bud was equally as stupid. Ubisoft made a massive essay length self-flagellating apology for making a fictional game, okay? Which to me is crazy because it's come around the same time that You know, Genshin Impact had the same problem where all these Wakandans came out and they got mad that the new Genshin Wolf Boy is actually named after some like obscure Yoruban god. And guess what Genshin said? It's fiction. Kick rocks. That's exactly what Ubisoft should have said. Alright? If they would have just gave up this historical accuracy bit and just said it's fiction, kick rocks, guess what? Boom. All the criticisms are gone. Alright, at least when it comes to this, because it's fiction. It's based off of history. This is all they had to say. First, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for all support for Assassin's Creed series, which now has its own history spanning almost 20 years. Over time, we have explored various settings, time periods, and characters from assassins during the Third Crusade to a Viking in the 19th century and countless more. We strive for authenticity in everything we do. Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures. Boom. Hoop shot, three-pointer, that's it. You're done. One paragraph. That's it. You didn't have to make a daggone self-flagellating essay about how sorry you are, because like apologies on the internet don't really matter. All right, all apologies do is just give people more of an excuse to keep beating you while you're down. Okay, don't do this. Just tell them, look, it's a work of fiction. We tried to make it somewhat historically accurate in some aspects, but it is a work of fiction. It is what it is. Have a nice day. See you in November. But that's not what they did, which made this whole thing worse. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that this blew up into such a dumb thing. And there's so much like hypocrisy going on with this, because there's tons of culture warriors that said that, oh, Genshin was so based for telling them like, oh, it's just fiction, kick rocks. But then when Ubisoft comes out here and says kind of the same thing, but just more, you know, white guilty, you know what I'm saying? They say, oh, this is an insult to the Japanese people. Like, stop tripping, bro. This whole thing is weird.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
But, yeah, all in all, I think that it was a bad idea for them to have Yauske to be the main character of this game. All right, he could have been a side character. He could have been a person that you get missions from. He could have been your friend. But having him to be the main character of this game, and yes, he is the main character. He's all over most of the marketing. People don't even really talk about Naue that much. It's kind of a bad move, especially when you haven't really done this with any other game. All right. But with that being said, we're going to go on to the fun part. All right. So instead of trolling through Twitter like I did last time, I'm going to use this part of the video to answer questions from the comment section of the last video. And imagine if they created a black fictive character who came with Yauske. Do you think it would change anything? They would say it's not realistic, too forced. We're here, at least it's a real person that was really there.
Everyone, boo this nigga!
Alright, you know, with that logic, let's say this. Let's say the next Assassin's Creed takes place in the West Indies. All right, you know what I'm saying? Let's say late 1700s. Let's say it's based around Charleston, you know what I'm saying, in the West Indies. That's a pretty big city out there in the West Indies. Let's say it's pretty authentic, right? Authentic buildings and time period. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got everything from oxtails to, you know, peas and rice to dance halls. It's got everything, okay? There's two main characters, because you have to have two, and one of them is a strong woman of color from the West Indies. She's got like a strong West Indies accent, and she looks like Rihanna. And the other character is Alexander Hamilton.
Yes.
Exactly. All right, with your logic, this would be good, right? Because Alexander Hamilton was born in the West Indies. All right, he was born in Charleston. You know, he would eventually grow up, you know what I'm saying, and come to America, where he would make a name for himself and get caught up in the revolution. But technically, he was born and raised in the West Indies. So even though he's a white person, he's a big part of West Indian history. So he should be the main character for an Assassin's Creed game based in the West Indies. That's by your logic, right? Shoguns are noble warrior classes of feudal Japan. A retainer is a device to straighten teenagers' teeth. Why is it so hard to understand this? Okay, dude, you know what? Fire in the bowl. Yeah, you win the internet with that one. You got it. Bro, black people always be complaining that there are no black superheroes or games made for them. Who cares? That he's in Japan. He was a real character. Yes, it's not exactly how he lived his life. Who gives a crap? Be happy, you crybabies. Like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna be real with you on this one. All right. It's not even really about the fact that he's like, you know, the fact that he's black or the fact that, for me, it's not even really that. It's the fact that they keep doing this, right? They keep doing forced diversity. And do you know what forced diversity does? It damages characters of color, especially when they're written like garbage. I'm looking at you, Acolyte. But yes, you know what I'm saying? This does damage, all right? Because what you're seeing now, what's slowly happening is characters of color are becoming synonymous with wokeness, aka bad works of fiction. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take a long time to reverse the damage that's already been done. I stopped caring about history accurate stuff, but Japan doesn't deserve this disrespect. And the game is so expensive, you have to be a psycho masochist rich Assassin's Creed fan to buy this BS.
So the cocaine's happening. When does that crack come into play for you?
Like, for one, like $130 is not a whole lot of money. Like, I mean, it's a lot of money for one game, but it's not a whole lot of money. Two, like, I don't really understand this talking point that people have, because there is a regular standard version of this game. A standard $70 version of this game exists. You can just buy it if you want to. Like, it's like a combo, right? It's like a combo. It's like going to Wendy's and complaining that they have large, medium, and small combos. Like, I never understood the talking point of, like, you know, optional purchases. Like, you don't have to buy the $130 version. You were so close, correct, until that last part where you went off the deep end. The racist who does the hierarchy you are talking about there. Well, I mean, yes, you're actually right. The racists do have the hierarchy, but see, that whole party known as the racists also includes the wokes. Because yeah, that hierarchy totally exists. Like, look at some of the race swaps you've seen. Like, whenever they're race swapping like a European character, they always go for like the blackest person they could possibly find to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're sending a message, all right? That, you know, the darker your skin is, the higher you are in the hierarchy. Why are so many of these new characters happen to be, you know, black, women of color, and gay? Because the more, you know, oppression points you have, you know, being either a person of color, a woman, or being LGBTQ, the more of these you can mix and match together, the more diverse your character is. So there is totally a hierarchy. A black gay woman of color is higher on this hierarchical scale than, say, a regular black dude character or an Asian dude character. That's just the way it works. All right. So that's about it for this. I did not expect to do another long video on Yauske. Hopefully this is the last one, then I can move on to other stuff. Tell me what you think down in the comments down below. And like, comment, subscribe, and as always, keep it real.